Thanks for having me today. My name is Olivia, and today we're going to move beyond the generic eat healthy advice and dive deep into the specific mechanisms through which diet influences oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, and gut health, which are three pillars of long term wellness and disease prevention. And my goal for today is to equip you with the scientific rationale for the dietary advice that you can give to your patients. The core problem at the heart of many chronic diseases is a vicious cycle. And that cycle includes oxidative stress, which is an imbalance between reactive oxygen species and antioxidant defenses, leading to cellular damage. And then once the cells are damaged, this promotes inflammation, and that inflammation in turn generates more oxidative stress. And a crucial factor in quenching this cycle is glutathione, which is the body's master intracellular antioxidant. Um, but typical pro inflammatory diets that are high in refined carbohydrates and saturated fats actively fuel this fire through well defined pathways like NLRP3, which increases cytokines. So, how do we support the body's defense system? First, we want to fuel glutathione production, and we're going to do that with specific foods. And sulfur containing foods, such as broccoli and garlic, are crucial because they provide the building blocks for glutathione. Adequate protein is non-negotiable because it supplies glycine and glutamate to support glutathione production as well. Omega 3 fatty acids, such as from fatty fish, reduce oxidative stress and provide the substrate for resolvins, which are the fire department that show up to put out the fire. Finally, we have selenium and polyphenols. Um, which are essential cofactors and direct supporters of our antioxidant enzymes. Brazil nuts are a great source of selenium, and polyphenols include things like berries, green tea, and dark chocolate. So now on to the gut. So the gut is not just a passive tube that our food just travels through. It's actually an active immune and barrier organ. And dysbiosis, which is an imbalance in the microbiome, as well as leaky gut, which is a hyperpermeable gut lining, intestinal lining, are significant contributors to systemic inflammation. And the most powerful tool for these issues would be fiber and resistant starch as well. So, for fiber, think things like fruits and vegetables, but also oats and legumes. And then resistant starch includes things like cooked and cold potatoes or rice. And then these things are fermented by the gut bacteria into short chain fatty acids like butyrate, which is very anti inflammatory. And they are short chain fatty acids are the primary fuel for colon cells, and they help seal the gut lining, and they even improve insulin sensitivity. So, the type of fat and protein that we consume directly shapes the gut environment. And saturated fats act as a stressor and promote harmful bacteria. And then in contrast, unsaturated fats like from plants and fatty fish are supportive. And then with protein, the source also matters. While adequate protein intake is key, a diet that is very heavy in animal protein can actually reduce the very bacteria that produce the beneficial butyrate that we talked about. So, shifting the balance into More plant-based proteins from lentils, beans, and nuts promotes greater microbial diversity and resilience in the gut. So now, of course, we must also address what to remove. And the goal is to reduce the dietary load that directly stresses our system. This means minimizing the primary drivers, such as refined carbohydrates and added sugars, which are potent inflammatory triggers, saturated fatty acids, which activate specific inflammasomes and disrupt mitochondrial function, and ultra processed foods, which tend to be the cocktail of these things. And then even certain compounds like pesticides in high doses or hot spices such as cayenne in high doses can increase intestinal permeability as well. So, to synthesize this into a practical prescription for your patients, it boils down into this simple framework here. So, if we're looking at the first table, on the left is what we want to emphasize, and that includes colorful fruits and vegetables for the polyphenols and the fiber content, um, cruciferous vegetables for the glutathione support, omega 3 rich foods such as fatty fish or chia seeds twice a week, high fiber foods like legumes, whole grains, and nuts, um, also fruits and vegetables, and then plant based proteins. And we want to balance that with animal protein intake. And then on the right, we want to reduce refined carbs and added sugars, saturated fats, ultra processed foods, excessive hot spices, and pesticides, and opt for organic if that's possible. It's not going to be possible for everybody, and that's okay. And then the table on the right. So let's translate all that we've talked about into simple daily goals for your patients. So for protein, a good target would be about 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. And that's because it supports glutathione synthesis and muscle health. But we want to prioritize plant based proteins and like lentils and beans. And we also want to opt for fish and poultry as well while avoiding fatty red meat. And then for fat, we want to aim for 20 to 35% of total calories from fat, because we want balance in the microbiome. And we want, for sources, we want the unsaturated fats like olive oil, nuts, and avocados, and fatty fish. And then fruits and vegetables, we want to aim for about 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit daily, and then 2 to 3 cups of vegetables daily for the fiber, the polyphenols, and the antioxidants. And we want to eat the rainbow, especially leafy greens and berries. And then some practical lifestyle recommendations would be adequate sleep and circadian alignment, which influence oxidative balance and inflammation. We want to encourage moderate physical activity, which supports mitochondrial um, efficiency and antioxidant enzyme production. And then stress management strategies, as stress directly impacts the gut microbiota. So, in conclusion, by understanding the mechanisms of oxidative stress, inflammation, and gut barrier function, we can provide targeted, evidence based nutritional advice that moves the needle on long term patient wellness. So, thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.